Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Coffee and Colorful Conversation. I'm still on vacation, so I'm getting a little bit of a later start today, but I hope that you guys will be joining me and doing some interacting. I wanted to check in on people that were on last week's coffee chat to see if anything resonated with you as far as your curse, your money curse, your success curse. I would love to hear from people whether that was thought-provoking and whether you have looked at and gotten to the bottom of your curse so that you can move forward and have success. So today's topic, I spend way too much time on hair color groups and forums, just kind of seeing what are people's needs, what is a recurring issue that pops up over and over and over again. And hands down, the issue that I see is prevalent everywhere in every single group is constant questions about formulation, that the actual question the person is asking, they are creating the issue in the hair by the last visit with the client. Let me explain what I'm saying. So every day someone will say, my client, is very brassy. She wants to get that out and she wants to have dimension, but I'm not sure, if I baby light it and then I glaze everything, I'm going to glaze the highlights that I just did. It's like this dance that we're all doing where we inadvertently are creating the brassiness in the hair by not understanding what causes brassiness. And then, everybody uses this term, the client pulls warm. Oh, she pulls warm. It's her. It's not her. It's us as the colorist, or it's the colorist prior to you doing her hair, but somebody created that warmth in the first place by not really understanding hair color, the chemistry, and how it works. So I wanted to talk about formulation and the habits that we get into by kind of like what happens is people never understood the law of color and the rules in school, myself included. And then you get out into the working world and you just keep kind of faking it until you make it. You keep, just creating these safe formulas that are safe. You're not going to, turn anybody moss green or any crazy colors. They're safe. But are they really what's best for the guest and what they're looking for? Probably not. So when I teach around the country and I go into people's salons, my favorite thing to do is to check out the colorist's formula cards. A lot of salons have the box of index cards that have all the color stains all over the index cards because they're so old. But what I see more often than not is improper formulation, crazy mixtures that make zero sense from a formulation standpoint. It's like a brew of doing this. If you put every single base that you could possibly put into the bowl, then I'll have everything included just in case. But what you're really doing is creating a really expensive 7N or 6N, basically, because you're taking every one of the bases and saying, well, a little bit of this and a little drop of that and 0.20 of this and this and this and this, and you have 5 different things. I'm going to venture to say, and I'll probably get some backlash on this, but when you do that, when you go beyond, I would say 3 different tones in one formula, you are in fact creating a very expensive N meaning neutral. So instead of just grabbing a tube of 6 or 7N and calling it a day, you're grabbing a 6N, a 7G, a 7V, and a 7GI or something. You're like, oh, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It sounds fun, but all those bases are basically counteracting one another and creating just a neutral. So keep it simple is the theme of today's talk, and don't overcomplicate it because it's really not as complicated as we've all made it out to be. Another pattern that I see a lot, and this one I am very guilty of, when you have a new guest, and especially if you're working with a new color line. I find I do this more when I'm changing color lines. In my opinion, the biggest difference between color lines is, and the biggest hurdle to get used to them, is the difference between a level 6 and a level 7. I don't really see that much difference on the other levels. Your 9s are your 9s, your 8s are your 8s, your really dark colors, the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, they're all pretty much equal from line to line. Some of them are a cooler base, some of them are more neutral base, and some of them are warmer in their bases. But I'm talking about level. A level 6 in one line could look like a medium brown, where a level 6 in another line is supposed to be dark blonde. So that's where I see the biggest jump in levels. So I am famous for the 6-7 formulas. If you look in my formulas are, people ask a lot on the forums, where do you store your client formulas? It's so easy. I have an iPad. I'm on Salon Transcripts. The abbreviation is STX, is my Salon software. And it is a Mac-based software, so it works with our phones, with iPads, and with the main computer at the salon. So I have 2 iPads in the salon where we then put the clients, just their name and their formula in the contact section, just where you would put someone in your phone under contact, same thing in the iPad, but we have just like, you know, Elaine Travis, formula. Mine is Redken Shades EQ, equal parts 7NB and 7N, 10 drops of Gray Magic, leave it on for 40 minutes, blah, blah, blah. So what you'll see when you go into my iPad is a lot of equal parts 6N and 7N, and then in the 1 ounce, and then the other ounce is whatever my target is. So I want to talk about that. So in every formula, when there's gray present, the percentage of gray dictates the percentage of either a neutral or a gold that needs to be present in that formula. So when you're mixing something with 4 or plus, I mean, I see people use more than 4, but 4 is usually the biggest offender. When you have more than 4, you're not really understanding what you really need in the hair. So if a client is 20% gray, you're basically formulating what you need to counteract what's going on with the natural hair. The 20% gray is really not even a factor in that equation. And for me, when people have 20% gray, if they're not going lighter, I automatically go right to a demi, and that's a whole other class. But if they have 50% gray, 40% gray, 30% gray or more, then all you need to do is say, okay, it's 30% gray. So 30% of my formula needs to be a neutral or a gold. How do you pick between those? Easy peasy. If the client wants a cool end result, you use the gold. I mean, the neutral. If they want a warm result, you use the gold. For example, a redhead. A redhead has, 50% white gray. For that formula, I see people doing, 7N and 7RC for the formula. Why would you use an N and an RC when she wants to be a redhead? You need a gold or a neutral. So in that example, use the gold for your gray coverage, and then the red brings the red into the party, especially if it's 50% gray. Another example would be a brunette with 40% gray. If you formulate too warm to cover the gray, you're going to get a really, really warm result where the natural brown is. So in that example, you would use 40% N for your gray coverage, and then the balance of the formula is a very cool shade. So when I explain it that way, I'm hoping that you understand how very simple it is, and you don't need, a 1/4 ounce of 7B, a 1/4 ounce of 7N, a 1/4 ounce of 7G, a 1/4 ounce of 7NB. Like, people are way overcomplicating it. And I think that is what people like the best about my live shows and my online course, is that I explain it so simply that literally I was explaining color to my son yesterday. We went to the beauty supply and I picked up what I picked up, and he said, wow, you're like a mad scientist. How do you know what to pick? And I'm like, it's really not that hard. It's, what do I see in the hair? In this case, it was shades EQ. So I was toning a blonde that had gone a little bit too yellow. So it's, you just go across the wheel and see what you need, and it needed a violet. And then I didn't want it to be all violet. I wanted some neutral in there. So I did a violet and a neutral, and in 10 minutes, it was perfect. Easy, easy, easy. So try not to overcomplicate it. Try to really think about what you're doing back there. And don't think that by using 4 different colors, it makes you special and that your client's not going to leave you. Because as an owner, all you're doing to me is using a lot of unnecessary color and creating a very expensive 7N, because you have all these open tubes that are getting oxidized, and then there's so much color wasted. I could go on and on and on. But if you get one little nugget from this talk today and that you stop overcomplicating your formulas, I will know that I did my job. So think about next time you're formulating, how much gray does she have? I need to cover the gray, and I need to do something to the other hair. Is the other hair deep and wants to be lighter? Then I have to use very cool color in the balance of the formula. Is it shade on shade? Does she just want to blend the gray? Use a demi. Don't go in with the big guns when all you need is a little firecracker. If you just want gray coverage, demi is more than capable of covering that gray. I hesitate to comment on some of the groups because I'm always very pro demi, but 80% of my day is spent using demi color, and my brunettes are not brassy, and they're not coming in with orange, faded out, funky, indescribable colors when they are in the sun, because I'm not using all of that lift and all that ammonia. As soon as you lift hair, even if it's a quarter of a level with all these fancy formulas that you're doing, you're budging the hair and you're lifting it just enough to entertain the underlying pigment that comes to the party. That's the uninvited guest that will not go away. It's that person at your Christmas parties that just keeps eating your food and staying and will not say goodbye. That's what underlying pigment is. It's the warmth that comes to the party and will not go away. Did you ever notice when someone's brassy or a color that you don't like, you cannot get it to permanently go away? But if you go too dark on a blonde, it feels like forever to get that out of the hair. That's the irony of it. When there's pigment, underlying pigment, it comes out in nature. People don't pull warm. They're not, a freak of nature. There's something wrong with them the way that people say on here, like, oh, she's so difficult, she pulls warm. She doesn't pull anything. You're asking the hair to do something that it cannot do. The most popular question is, how do I get my level 3 client to a level 7 using only color? She doesn't want any bleach. Who asked her what she wants? She's not in charge, you are. If your doctor has to use a strong antibiotic to kill a bacteria that will kill you, are you going to tell your doctor, I don't want that antibiotic, I don't want that, no, that's not good for me? Clients don't understand what bleach is. They don't understand how gentle the bleaches are today in 2018. They're not Cleopatra's bleaches. They're not going to make their hair fall off if the person doing the service is doing it according to directions and not pushing the hair. It can make it fall off, but that is hairdresser error, not choice of product. So that's another rant, but that's a whole other class as well. So what I talked about today was the crazy formulas that some people do. I wanted to create some thought for you. Are you formulating properly? Could you use help in formulation? And if you find that you're like, wow, I've never heard this before, then I hope that you'll take a look at my course. It's called Hair Color Simplified, and you can get information on that by joining my email list. Just check out my website, expertcolorsolutions.com. And I have ways to contact me and courses and availability. But, I was watching, there was a great free class from girls from Australia the other day, and I watched it. And a lot of their formulas, even though their hair turned out really pretty, a lot of the formulas to me just made absolutely no sense. It was like a lot of oxymorons. They had, the one formula was 8-stroke 7-1. This is Color Touch Wella. 8-stroke 7-1, 9-stroke 1-6, and 9-stroke 4-3. So sit with that a little bit and tell me what you think. To me, it's, the 8-stroke 7-1 is a warm brown with a little bit of ash, and then the 9-1-6 is ash with a little bit of violet in there, and then the 9-4-3 is like bright copper. So it kind of all jumbles together to create, I would say, an 8 warm. An 8WG is basically what's going to come out in the end. And well, Color Touch doesn't have 8WG, but think about that. Think about what you're doing. And if any of you are making it to the Philadelphia premiere show, I'm doing my Let's Kick Brass class at the show live. But I know most of you that follow me on here are not from Philadelphia, and I'm not sure if anybody plans to travel there. So my next online live training webinar is going to be my Let's Kick Brass class. So if you can't make it to Philadelphia in September, in October, and it's on the top of this page that my coffee chat is on the Expert Color Solutions page, you'll find the banner with the date of the class. And I'll, of course, be putting the link on here when I have it for the October class. So it will be, if any of you attended my other classes online, wherever you are, either on your phone, your computer, your iPad, you can jump on from anywhere. You always have access to the replay if you can't make it. And I'm going to discuss in further depth what creates brass, how we can avoid it, and when someone else created it and we're stuck with it, how to fix it. It's my favorite class. So I hope that you got some little nuggets out of this. I hope that you're still, if you haven't watched last week's chat, go back and watch it about your curse. I really want you to think about the curse that you're stuck with from your upbringing around money, around not charging what you're worth, around being afraid to raise your prices. Fear is a real thing, and all it is false evidence appearing real. If you think about that, the next time you're afraid, just remember that the story that you're afraid of is in your head. It's not the reality. You create the real reality. So don't be afraid. Keep taking chances, but keep educating yourself, especially in hair color, because once you understand it, there is no situation that can land in your chair that you cannot tackle easily. So thanks for listening. I hope you'll share this with friends, and I hope to see you at the next Let's Kick Some Brass class to get deeper into this stuff. Happy formulating and enjoy your day.